20 games in a row? We're going to ask that question that Patrick Mahomes decided to pose to everyone. All that coming up in a couple of seconds.
All right, Jay, so let's pivot to the NFL. All this NBA talk has been fun, but we love the NFL to death. So the last week or two, you've had OTAs going on in the NFL. So you've had a lot of players practicing, learning the playbook, rookies, a lot of talk around the NFL. We know the NFL knows how to maintain real estate on the calendar throughout the year. So in a conversation with Bleacher Report, MVP Super Bowl winner Patrick Mahomes was asked about the NFL schedule with this 17th game that has been implemented into the schedule for this season. And his response, one of his responses to that was, and I quote, "The only record I have my eye set on breaking, which would be new this year, is going 20-0. It's not really a record to be broken, I guess you'd say. I think 19-0 is a record right now. So being able to go 20-0 and be the first one to do that, that would be awesome." So he's talking about going through the regular season undefeated on the way to winning the Super Bowl and completing an undefeated season, the first since the 1972 Dolphins, who I believe went 17-0 total. So this would be the most wins, consecutive was blah, blah, blah. So that his eyes are set on going 20-0 with the Kansas City Chiefs team that we've seen over the last 3 seasons, one of the most dominant teams over a 3-season stretch that we've ever seen, with a quarterback who could easily be the greatest quarterback of all time by the end of his career. Do you think that the Kansas City Chiefs actually can go 20-0 this upcoming 2021-2022 season?
Not only no, but hell no. Hell no. And it's no shade at all to the Chiefs. I'm being more of a realist. So I think it's very unfair. Actually, I think it's fair to say that they won't. I think it's unfair to think that they actually can possibly do it. This is the reason why. Their schedule is not favorable for them to be able to go undefeated. I'm looking at least 10 games that are potentially losable. Not that they will lose, but potentially losable, just because those teams have moments that they can do things. And the other problem with Kansas City is health. This is a game of attrition. Can they stay healthy from week 1 to the Super Bowl? Which if they do go undefeated, they would get the bye, so that would lead them to 20 straight wins. Health-wise, I don't see them being able to get past a lot of these teams. So this is who they have that they got to go through. First off, they have to go through the AFC North. That's a problem. The problem, I actually had a conversation on the Bird about the AFC North and how that division is like the most blue-collar grind division of all of them in the NFL. They're the ones that people basically damn near hurt each other, and that's the only way you end up winning. The winner is the one that's healthy out of that, just in the division,
right?
Period. And they go deeper in the playoffs because of that. So they open with the Cleveland Browns, then they travel to Baltimore in back-to-back games. You're losing at least one person in those games. Then they have the Steelers in week 16. So right after Christmas, you have the Steelers coming to your house, in which they're used to the winter because they're in Pittsburgh. So that's a problem. Let's look at a couple of these other games. Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers will be there. Don't worry. He's going to be their starting quarterback. He's not writing checks, nor is the team going to trade him and take a cap hit. It'd be stupid on their end. They have Buffalo coming to town. And unless Josh Allen regresses, their defense is still really good. Following Baltimore, you have the Chargers,
who always play you tough.
They play you tough. And I really like Justin Herbert.
I do too.
He will have a sophomore slump, so this will be a bad season for him, but he's still a big, strong guy.
Right.
And I appreciate them, and their defense is getting a lot better. They actually added some good pieces. Then they travel to Tennessee later on in the season in October. That's going to be a struggle. Dallas comes to town. Dak Prescott stays healthy. Dallas will be a problem. And then after that, they got Cincinnati, Denver, and all of that. So overall, I'm seeing Cleveland, who a lot of people on paper are saying have the best roster on paper right now.
Yes, people say that.
They think they have the best offensive line of all teams in the league. So that's a big thing. So you got Cleveland, Baltimore, 2 times against the Chargers. One of those 2 you potentially lose. Buffalo, Tennessee, Green Bay, Dallas, and then Pittsburgh. So 9 games out of your 17 you could potentially lose.
Mm-hmm.
That you can't do it. What you think?
I agree with your assessment of the schedule. They're probably going to lose one of their first 3 games, and then this whole 20-0 dream is going to be laughable when we look back on this. So that's it's just landmines all over the schedule. And what this shows you is that the NFL does not want them to go to the Super Bowl this year, because if they did, they wouldn't give them because you've left out the Washington football team, which you may win that game, but you're going to pay a price for that.
Oh, yeah, you're going to come out hurt. Yeah, you're going to come out with an injury in that game too.
So they don't want to see them they want to see the Ravens go to the Super Bowl, or hell, the Browns go to the Super Bowl, even the Bills. They do not want the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl, because if they did, their schedule wouldn't look like this. So there's that. First thing, though, to Patrick Mahomes is every quarterback has that goal. There's no quarterback who goes into the season saying, it's okay or I plan to lose maybe this game or that game. Every quarterback wants to win every single game that they play and go 19-0 or 20-0, whatever it is. Everybody does. So that's not special. 2, his eyes are in the wrong place, because you can't look at 20-0 if you haven't even gone 1-0 yet against the best roster in the NFL to start the season. So he's looking at the wrong thing to even say this. I know that maybe he thought this might be an interesting sound clip, or it demonstrates his confidence in his team, and that's perfectly fine. But still, it demonstrates something that should be unsettling to the Chiefs, the coaching staff, and to the fans, that he's thinking of 20-0 instead of 1-0, 1-0 turned into 2-0, etc. That's how you're supposed to look at it. And the third thing is, he's not accomplished enough to even make this one of his goals, because as great as he's been so far in his 4 seasons in the NFL, he only has 1 ring. This is something you think about doing when you have 4 rings or 5 or multiple MVPs, or you have, all these passing records and there's hardly nothing else left for you to do. This is where Tom Brady not only is at, this is where Tom Brady has been at 2 or 3 Super Bowls ago, because by then he had already done everything else, already made all of this money. And he actually said this recently, this offseason, that he would trade 2 Super Bowl rings for a perfect season. That's perfectly fine for Tom Brady, because he has done everything else, something that hardly no other quarterback, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 over the next 75 years, is going to be able to do, winning 7 Super Bowls, et cetera, et cetera. So this isn't bad. It's just something that he shouldn't it's something that he shouldn't have said. And I really do hope that his eyes aren't on 20-0.
And I'm not mad at him for saying it personally. I think that I like the ambition, but like you said, this is not the prize you should probably put your eye on. You should probably focus more so on just beating the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens, and then the Chargers back to back. Oh yeah, and then you travel to Philadelphia the game after that, and then Buffalo comes to your house. Then you travel to Washington, then you travel to Tennessee, and then of course from there you got New York that shows up, but then you got Green Bay that shows up. Then from there you travel to Las Vegas, maybe an easier game for you, and then
because they're going to party the night before in Las Vegas, so probably that's going to be a tough one.
And then you got Dallas coming to town.
Yep.
And then you've got Denver coming to town, and then Las Vegas coming to town after your bye. So, I mean, you got a little bit of gap from your bye week through those, but yes, you've got to focus on not only staying healthy, but also getting past these main teams. So, That's a good point.